Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Hot Seat, a wireless design and development interview series where we talk about the latest wireless technologies, components, and design issues for the wireless design engineering community. Today we are speaking with Keith Chu, who is the Senior Product Line Manager at Lantronix. He is a 30-year veteran of the networking and telecommunications industry with broad experience in the research, design, development, and marketing of networking equipment and software for voice and M2M applications. Keith is responsible for the product marketing and management of Lantronix world-class OEM module projects. For the past 22 years, Keith has participated and chaired several international and national telecommunications standards groups and is the holder of 18 U.S. patents. Today, Keith will be discussing M2M. We know M2M has been around for some time, particularly in the industrial automation market. Can you give us an overview of the current state of M2M?
I would say that it's a little bit more than just the industrial automation. M2M is now starting to find its way into many other verticals. And we've seen this today with a change in the terminology that gets used. Firstly, we had M2M, machine to machine. Now we're looking at the Internet of Things. So, we know that M2M has been hyped for, quite a long time now. I would say it got a lot of interest, about 2011, when Ericsson announced that there would be 50 billion connected devices by 2020. And so while this has not really happened at that speed and at that rate, there's still a underlying growth in that market space as people are taking advantage of its technologies as they've rolled out. So, there's been a lot of bumps in the road, but, people are starting to build from the ground up the various systems and infrastructures and ecosystems that are supporting the adoption of machine-to-machine or Internet of Things. And specifically, I think the interest of the mobile carriers in trying to grow their markets now that they're having saturation with their subscriber base into selling wholesale data is an emphasis and a push in this direction. So M2M is starting to see a revitalization of where perhaps the growth is going to continue at a perhaps accelerated rate. And this has really been borne out by how a number of companies are starting to merge to provide overall end-to-end systems. So, while M2M is still fairly nascent, I would say that Lantronix has been there since the beginning. We've been in this connectivity market for quite some time, and we've watched the evolution and the pioneering that's going on, and we've sort of been, I guess, in the background to some degree, but monitoring and being very cognizant of what we can do with our products and bringing our value to the solutions that are available in the various horizontal areas of the marketplace.
And what challenges are precluding M2M from being embraced on a wider level?
Right. So I think it's fairly widely understood in the industry that the development of M2M and Internet of Things has been very fragmented. So there are multiple solutions out there, and they're complicated. There's no real industry standardization in that space. Again, there's an emphasis on trying to make that happen right now. And really, the perspective is that the cost was really outweighing the benefits. Okay? So we've seen with the time and the technology that it's cost to improve, over the past, I would say, half dozen years. As I mentioned previously, the mobile carriers or the MNOs are trying to grow their markets, and they're making a real push into the plan of growing their space by using M2M, so they're taking less ARPU but getting more volume. So the primary goal is that M2M is not easy. It really isn't. There's lots of considerations that you need to make and putting such a system together. What are you trying to do and how you do it all come together with what your network connectivity is, how you integrate your functionality into the networking device, how is your information transferred, how can you ensure your transmit information is secure, and what decisions are going to be made on your information, and really this affects your bottom line in respect of the cost of developing the M2M application, and really the cost of maintaining your application as well. So, despite these challenges, I would say that we are seeing a growth. As I mentioned, there was this 50 billion device metric that was passed around 3-4 years ago, but really it is growing, and what we're seeing is it's probably 1/10 to that, as opposed to being the full amount. So the information I tend to use is that Analysis Mason last year published something which I think is fairly respectable and conservative, in that there's going to be 2.1 billion connected devices by 2021. And really next year, not next year, but the year after, 2015, is going to be when everything comes together. The critical mass is going to happen, and that will be the year of the mass adoption.
And what about the trends that are fueling M2M? Do you see any kind of shift taking place?
Oh, absolutely. I would say that there's really a convergence or a merging of two parallel roads. So I see M2M and Internet of Things of going down one path. There's been a lot of mergers. There's a lot of companies coming together to provide end-to-end solutions. And on the other hand, there's this parallel path of mobile connectivity, so driven by smart devices, your phones and tablets, and they're starting to come together and maybe overlap and merge on the same path. And so while the infrastructure and ecosystems are developing and coming made available to the masses, they're still precluded from a scalable solution because of the expense of investment in providing these systems. So while there always will be the enterprise who can have the ability to put these things together and develop and manage their systems, the scalability of such a system for the smaller companies is a bit precluded right now. So one of the things that Lantronix is doing is we're trying to be an enabler in a convergence of the M2M and a scalable mobile access.
Can you tell us about xPico Wi-Fi then, and what's unique about the product and how it fits into the overall M2M movement, especially with some of the trends that you were talking about?
Exactly. So one of the trends that's actually happening is that tablets are finding a ubiquity in the marketplace. People are using them a lot more. To date, there are about, I would say, only 30% of tablets are mobile connected through their cellular radio. So that means there's 70% of tablets that are just Wi-Fi connected. And so we at Lantronix see that as an enabler for us to provide a Wi-Fi solution that can be integrated in a very scalable M2M overall solution. So the xPico Wi-Fi is one of the first Wi-Fi devices that really meets the shift in this market need for mobile ready to an end device. We have a number of features that we've inserted in the product that uniquely supports a mode of operation, which is what we call simultaneous client and soft AP mode. What this means is that you can actually connect a device into a network, and it will behave as you would normally expect it to. It will communicate over Wi-Fi into an infrastructure or a main access point, and be able to communicate through your back end to your ERM systems and manage your data as you would normally do it. So you get the benefit of that. At the same time, it also has the ability to support a soft access point in itself. So and it can also do this simultaneously. So you could actually do these two things together. You can actually approach the device with, let's say, a tablet or your smartphone, and you can actually connect to that device and access it on a different level. Let's say whether it's a maintenance or a data discovery application. This gives you a different approach to M2M. What this means is that at a scalable solution, you can now invest in an M2M ecosystem that allows you to provide solutions that give you the cost benefits of an M2M, and not only that, but also provide you sort of customer support services and capabilities that you didn't have before. So with the xPico Wi-Fi, as I said, we've tried to address this type of paradigm, and as a Lantronix product, it really inherits all our core value propositions, such as robustness, quality, simple to use, and above all, it offers a very total low cost of ownership in that solution.
What sort of applications does xPico Wi-Fi enable, and can you share with us some really unique or innovative examples?
Absolutely. So the applications are just mind-blowing. They're only limited by your imagination. So what I can do is I can give you some examples of what I've actually come across recently. There's one of the things that this enables is that a smart device can now control, manage, and monitor a device or your endpoint through either using an app or an appless model. So you could actually define a very unique, specific custom application on your device, or you can actually use a built-in web server that we have in our product that allows you to use a standard browser and almost achieve the same functionality. So examples that I've seen, one would be, one of the unique ones is an off-roading car winch. So what you've seen, these off-roading winches that are on the front of your SUVs and Jeeps and so on. And usually what you would do is you would get out your vehicle, you would hook it to the tree, and you would have a hand remote which would be wired, and then you would turn it on and off, and it would pull your vehicle or lower your vehicle down up a slope or incline. So what we can do is we can actually do the thing but using a Wi-Fi. So I pull out my smartphone, I hook my winch to the tree, and I can control it very safely with my smartphone. I can provide different applications and things that you would not be able to do on a remote because you have a graphical user interface. For example, I could show how much cable I have left, or how close I am, whether there are any warnings, whether there's any strain on the cable that I'm finding. So these things can be displayed to you and give you a user interface that's above and beyond what's provided today. Another primary application that I'm seeing is really maintenance of public-facing equipment with allowing minimal downtime. Now this can be done in the enterprise, but there's a couple of things that where you practically need to be by the device and not have to log into the network. So an example could be, let's say you have an escalator in a shopping mall. I don't know how many times, but those escalators keep breaking down or not working, and then the maintenance man comes out, he puts the barrier around, he digs the panel up and gets into the box and gets the control. One of the applications I've seen on this is that that you actually, instead of having to go through all that maintenance steps, you can just approach your escalator, access the access point that's located with it, and then using a tool through a browser or through an app, you can actually find out why the machine or the escalator stopped working, reset it, and get it working in a very small amount of time. So without having to put the barrier up, lift the panels and get inside there. So again, inconvenience to the public is minimized. Same thing for perhaps a building and facility management. You can provide lighting control, you can go in and control it, program it, and use your smart device as a extension user interface for all the things that you would like to do within that, making it very, very smart. And instead of putting the intelligence in the device, but put it in the tool that you're using to manage it with. Let's see. Another good area would be very similar control and management with goods. So having a smart refrigerator, a smart oven, smart laundry machines, And anything that's a kitchen appliance could become smart and managed through a smartphone or a tablet. One of the things I've seen is why laundry machines would want this is that a laundry machine is very rudimentary in what it does in its programs, but the ability to create a profile for a program that suits a certain fabric, color or dye or even stain is something that people can generate profiles for and say, this is the best way of removing a stain out of a silk blouse, for example. And instead of choosing one program fits all or a few sections, you can actually manage these and create these profiles yourself or download them from a user group. So these capabilities are now starting to become very prevalent and being investigated by a lot of people. So the management of your device just suddenly becomes prolific and it's going to grow enormously.
You talked a lot about incorporating stuff into like smart appliances, and I know with one of our previous discussions and one of our hot seat interviews, the subject of the smart home came up with the Zigbee Alliance. Are you guys affiliated with them in any way, or how, if not, how does the xPico kind of differentiate from what they're doing?
It probably operates in very much the same way as a Zigbee device would use, except that this is using standard and standardized technology with Wi-Fi. So 802.11bgn. This is well known, understood, and very ubiquitous, around the world. So the technology itself is very good. One of the areas have improved in the last few years is it's encroaching on what Zigbee could do is in terms of low power. So the ability to have your device in a product that's running on batteries is now possible using Wi-Fi. Previously, it would be just, Zigbee would be the answer for you. But today, now we're getting very closer. The better advantage of Wi-Fi is really that the IP stacks are generally available and the standardization is there to allow you from device to back end to have all the tools and the communications in place. So it's a much more well-defined solution today.
Well, Keith, is there anything else that you would like to add to our discussion that you feel is important for our viewers to know? Maybe give some insight on the xPico and what we can expect in the future, especially from Lantronix?
Well, absolutely. So the xPico Wi-Fi it's a very brand new product, and we're making a very large splash in the marketplace as people get to see how it's used. It's one of the smallest products available in its form factor. We're getting a large amount of interest in that space, and we will be driving this in a number of different ways. One of the things is that it's actually a member of a product family, which we call the xPico family, which means that no matter how you want to do your connectivity for M2M, we're going to support that mechanism with a single footprint. So today, I could actually take out my xPico Wi-Fi and place it with an xPico wired product that will give me connectivity over the Ethernet connections, which means that we can support security a lot better in certain cases where those connections are made. We're also looking in other areas for expanding the product with other transport mechanisms, providing a lot more functionality within the device in the support of end devices in terms of protocols that are necessary for the various verticals as well. So you can look forward to seeing a lot more coming from Lantronix in support of our xPico family products.
I would like to thank you, Keith, for joining us on WDD's Hot Seat and providing us information on M2M and xPico Wi-Fi. I'm Meaghan Ziemba, and I'll see you next time in the Hot Seat.